Okay, let's jump right in. We're doing a deep dive today into something pretty fascinating, maybe even unexpected. It's the financial genius, really, of 1950s homemakers.
Hmm.
I mean, picture this. No budgeting apps, no online banking, definitely no cashback rewards.
Right. None of the tools we take for granted.
Exactly. And yet, these women were like wizards with the family budget. So the big question for us is, how? How do they manage it all?
And maybe more importantly.
Yeah, what can you, listening now, actually learn from them? What strategies might still work today?
Well, it's really crucial to paint the picture of the time. The 1950s, I mean, for most families, it was a single income world.
Right, that was just the
It
standard.
was the economic reality. It wasn't really a choice like it might be today. And that meant the pressure to make every single dollar stretch was just enormous.
So budgeting wasn't just like a good habit.
Oh, no, not at all. It was survival. It was absolutely fundamental to make sure every resource, even down to, breadcrumbs, was
Yeah.
used. Nothing, absolutely nothing went to waste.
That context really puts their skills into perspective, doesn't it?
It really does.
So, okay, our mission here for this deep dive is to unpack those specific methods, the strategies, and also the mindset, right?
The mindset is key.
The mindset that let these 1950s homemakers just nail household finances. We want to give you a kind of shortcut, boil down their wisdom into things you could actually think about using.
And looking through the sources, it becomes pretty clear there were maybe 10 core practices, you could say.
10 core reasons for their success.
Yeah, foundational practices. They weren't overly complicated, but wow, their impact was huge.
Okay, let's get into the first one. It feels almost, I don't know, quaint now.
Yeah.
They tracked every single penny on paper.
No apps automatically syncing.
Nope, just a notebook, a pencil, and series
Oh,
discipline.
incredible discipline.
They literally wrote down all the income,
Yeah.
every single expense. They knew, like, to the cent, what groceries cost, what the utility bill was, clothes. And there's something about that physical act, isn't there? Writing it down. It makes spending feel, well, real, tangible.
Exactly. It's a kind of direct feedback loop. You feel it more than just seeing a number drop on a screen. We've sort of lost that tactile connection with digital money.
Yeah, that physical act, it wasn't just tracking. It was like it put friction on spending money.
Yes, that's a great way to put it. Friction. Every penny recorded was a conscious choice, you know. You felt the weight of it leaving, in a way. Digital clicks just don't have that.
So that careful tracking, it shows this deep understanding of their resources. And that dedication carried over into the home itself, especially the kitchen.
Ah, yes, kitchen.
Point two, they cooked a lot.
Hmm. Eating out wasn't the weekly norm, it was a treat, a real luxury.
Dinner was from scratch, whole foods, and this idea of absolutely zero waste.
Total zero waste. Leftovers weren't accidents, they were planned. Part of the next day's meal or the day after.
Using cheaper cuts of meat, making them tender and delicious, baking bread. This wasn't like a trendy foodie thing.
No, no, it was just how you lived, how you got by and ate well on a budget.
And that really highlights the difference with today, doesn't it? Our reliance on convenience, takeout.
Oh, absolutely. That's a massive budget killer for so many people now. They minimize those external food costs by just maximizing everything they bought to use at home.
Which flows right into the next point, this broader idea they had.
Yeah.
Make things last.
Yes. Use what you have.
The default wasn't, oh, it's a bit worn, let's replace it. It was, how can we fix it?
Right. Mending clothes, repairing appliances yourself if you could, or finding someone who could do it affordably.
Reusing jars, saving wrapping paper, making do. Thrift wasn't an aesthetic like you see on Instagram sometimes.
Not at all. It was pure necessity. It was
Okay.
how you survived economically.
And that habit, that ingrained habit of repair and reuse, it just meant they consumed so much less overall.
Exactly. Fewer new purchases needed, which obviously had a huge positive effect on staying within their means. Less spending, plain and simple.
Okay, think about this too. Less advertising.
Yeah.
Just less temptation to spend.
That's a big one. It's hard for us to even imagine.
Right. No social media pushing products constantly, no online shopping carts reminding you what you looked at.
Advertising existed, of course, but it wasn't in your pocket, on your screen, 24/7.
And the direct result, fewer temptations. Fewer things you suddenly felt you needed when really they were just wants.
Hmm. Without that constant noise, that pressure, impulse spending just wasn't the same beast it is today.
It probably allowed for, I don't know, clearer thinking about money.
I think so. Less external pressure shaping your desires, more focus on actual needs versus, manufactured ones.
And something really practical they did, managing the cash they had. The envelope system.
Ah, the classic envelope system. Very common back then.
So, simple idea. You take the cash for the week or month, and you physically divide it up. Money for groceries in this envelope, rent in this one, clothes in another.
Yep, physical separation.
And the crucial part, when the money in an envelope, say the grocery envelope, ran out.
It was gone. That was it for the week or until the next payday, period. So simple, but incredibly effective, right? Talk about built-in discipline.
It's the immediate, tangible limit. There's no ambiguity. Unlike today, where you can just swipe a credit card or use buy now, pay later.
Right, which can kind of create this illusion that the funds are endless.
Exactly. The envelope system just slammed the door shut on overspending in a category. The consequence was right there, an empty envelope.
And what about fun? Entertainment. It seems like that was different too.
Oh, definitely. It was generally pretty low cost and low key, you could say.
Families found ways to have fun without needing pricey subscriptions or the newest gadgets or, daily Amazon boxes turning up.
Think about it. Board games, card games.
Potlucks, maybe? Neighborhood get-togethers?
Exactly. Shared meals.
Yeah.
Visiting friends and family. Fun didn't automatically mean spending a lot of money. Living simply wasn't just a nice idea. It was actually how people lived and enjoyed themselves.
It's just maybe a different source of value, community, shared time, rather than just stuff. I think that's a big part of it. Enjoyment came from connection and experiences, not necessarily from buying things or paying for services, which naturally kept costs way down.
Okay, let's shift to how they actually shopped. They shopped smart.
Very smart. But maybe not in the way we think of smart shopping today, like giant bulk buys.
Right, you probably wouldn't see them loading up at Costco, assuming Costco even existed then in the same way.
No. Often it was more like daily trips to local shops, getting fresh produce, meat, buying only what was needed for the next day or two.
And they knew prices.
Yeah.
Like, really knew them, inside out.
Absolutely, almost like a mental database of what things should cost. And they weren't afraid to, haggle a bit with the local butcher or grocer, build relationships.
Can you imagine haggling at the supermarket checkout today?
Laughs lately.
Yeah.
Not quite the same. And coupons were huge. Clipped from magazines, newspapers.
Gold dust.
Total gold. They'd plan meals around what was on sale that week, what they had a coupon for. It wasn't about buying fancy organic kale just because it's trendy. It was about getting the best value.
That intimate knowledge of prices and sales, shopping frequently for what's needed, it sounds incredibly efficient.
It was very little waste because you're buying fresh and only what you plan to use immediately. It minimized spoilage and cost.
Speaking of waste, point number 8 is huge here. Repair, reuse, recycle. They took this to another level.
Seriously, nothing went to waste if they could help it.
Clothes got mended, patched, handed down, until they were literally rags.
Glass jars and bottles, washed and reused for canning, storing things, whatever.
Food scraps often went into a compost heap for the garden, right?
Absolutely. It's such a stark contrast to today. What's the figure? Something like 40% of food in countries like the U.S. just gets thrown away now.
It's staggering. They'd turn stale bread into bread pudding or croutons.
We'd toss it. They'd sew a ripped shirt.
We'd order a new one on Amazon Prime, probably. It's a completely different approach to resources.
It really is. And that resourcefulness, extending the life of everything, minimizing waste, it directly saved money. It was just baked into how they managed the household. A deep respect for every item.
Which connects to another key point. They generally didn't fall for consumer traps in the same way we might.
Right. Advertisers were definitely pushing modern time-saving gadgets even then.
Sure, the miracle washing machine or vacuum cleaner.
Exactly. But many housewives were quite skeptical. They resisted buying unless the thing genuinely saved money or labor in a significant way and proved its worth.
They weren't upgrading the fridge every year just because a new color like, I don't know, avocado green came out?
Chuckles. Probably not.
There wasn't that pressure for constant upgrades, just for novelty's sake. Contrast that with today.
Yeah, think about smartphones. How many iPhones have people gone through in the last decade, even if the old one worked fine?
It raises that question of perceived value versus actual need, doesn't it? They seemed much more focused on long-term utility, durability, actual cost effectiveness, not just the latest trend or planned obsolescence. Okay, and the final point, number 10, it really pulls everything together.
It does. It's fundamental.
They lived within their means. Period.
And a massive reason for that was...
no credit cards, or at least not commonly used like today.
Right. They overwhelmingly shopped with cash. Often, the homemaker managed a strict weekly allowance given by her husband.
So no racking up debt on impulse buys. No buy now, pay later temptations whispering in your ear.
Exactly. It was just disciplined spending, enforced by the reality of the cash on hand, and tracked meticulously in those handwritten letters we talked about.
That lack of easy credit, it forced that immediate, tangible understanding of financial limits, didn't it?
Undeniably. It created that instant feedback loop. Spending had immediate, visible consequences. Modern tools, while convenient, can definitely blur those lines.
Oh, okay, we've gone through these 10 points. Let's zoom out. What does it all mean for you listening now? Were they just better at budgeting?
Maybe. Or maybe, and this feels like an important distinction, maybe they were just better at living with less.
Ah, that's interesting. Living with less.
And we have to remember the context again. Their success wasn't just about iron willpower.
Right. Society was different.
Very different. There was arguably less pressure to keep up with the Joneses through buying stuff. There was so much less noise from consumer culture bombarding them. And crucially, much less distraction from easy debt.
So the environment sort of supported those frugal habits.
To a large extent, yes. It doesn't mean their ways were perfect, but there's definitely a ton of practical wisdom there for us.
Absolutely. So for you, listening to this deep dive, what are the takeaways? What's actionable?
Well, the basics seem pretty timeless.
Like tracking your spending. Maybe not pen and paper, but finding a method that makes it feel real to you.
Yes. And cooking more at home, it's almost always cheaper and often healthier.
Thinking repair before replace. Even small things.
Definitely. And just consciously buying less. Questioning if something is a real need or just a want, especially those impulse buys.
Because the core message, really, from looking at these women,
Yeah.
it isn't just about hoarding money, is it?
Not at all. It seems like smart budgeting, then and now, is fundamentally about skillfully doing more.
With what you already have.
Exactly. Doing more with what you have.
It's powerful. It goes beyond just the bank balance.
It really does. Which leaves us with a final thought, maybe something for you to chew on after listening.
Okay.
In a world that constantly shouts more, 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 like, what less could you choose to embrace in your own life? What could you dial back on intentionally to maybe find a bit more financial peace or even more personal freedom?